Donc, mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue au Je m'entends pas, fait que j'imagine. Vous m'entendez dans la salle? Tout va bien, hein? Cool, excellent. Merci, vous me réconfortez. Donc, I'm going to speak a bit of French first, just to introduce everybody. So,
sounds good.
Nous sommes le Geek Collectif, donc mon nom c'est André et Éric, puis on va être avec vous pour les 45 prochaines minutes avec une gang de gens très fort sympathiques qui sont tous descendus de New York. Donc, on parle avec le Gumbo Collective aujourd'hui. Guys, thank you for making it to Montreal.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
So apparently we're going to be spending 45 minutes together talking about your passion, your also creative way of going at it with the collective. First of all, why don't we do a little turn of tables just to know who's who, what you guys are working on, and if ever you have anything unreleased upcoming or something recently released. So whoever feels free to jump in.
I'm Adrianno Valle. I am the founder and director of Orc-Punk. It's a company that I started maybe a year ago. And I just released my game called Into the Dark Naricon. It's a mobile game. It's a Zelda chess would be the simplest way of explaining it. It's an adventure strategy game with this very unique art style that I came up with for the game. And like a dark ambient story and feel to it. And yeah, it's my first game, just released yesterday. Got some good reviews.
Yesterday, really yesterday?
Literally yesterday, yeah.
How's your stress level today?
Best thing that could have happened is me being in Montreal without a data plan, so I can't be obsessing over how it's doing and what the reviews are. So it's kind of a perfect thing. But yeah, it's pretty high. Really, nothing prepares you for releasing a game, no matter how big or small or whatever. It's just it's a unique experience.
Kind of like giving birth, eh?
I wouldn't claim that.
Really
No, I wouldn't. No. In a way smaller way. So much smaller.
It was a metaphor, guys.
I know. But yes.
So congratulations on the
Thank
launch.
you very much.
Thank you. Valentina.
Yeah, I'm Valentina, and I'm the founder of a company called Wirescribe, and I just finished my first game. It's a tower defense game. It's basically this fantasy world that encompasses all of our dreams and fantasies. And humans found a way to get to this world, and you have to save this magical place from human invaders.
Nice. Kind of like Imagination Land in South Park.
Yeah. And the game is going to be out for iOS and Android in January. Yep.
I got to try it earlier on, and it's got a really nice feel to it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm Jonah Wallerstein, founder of Whalefood Games. I'm currently working on a game called Kung Fu Kickball, which is a competitive fighting sports game where the best ball kicker wins. You gotta punch, kick, and headbutt your way across the field to smash the ball into your opponent's bell and rack up points.
So a great party game.
Yes, very much.
You also got a few fellow how do you guys mention it? Gumbonians?
Gumbonians is
Yes.
I think that's been the sort of unofficially approved way of calling ourselves Gumbonians.
So we got two more Gumbonians who are going to switch places on the stage eventually so that we could also address them. So basically, maybe we could start off by just explaining a bit what the Gumbo Collective is about, what you guys are experiencing together as a group.
So Jonah is actually the founding member.
One of the founding members.
There was like 2 or 3 or something, right?
That's right. So there was a group in New York called, they were the Games Forum, which was, offering classes and things like that. And at some point they offered workspace to indie developers. And then the kind of workspace thing they had shut down, but then a bunch of us got together and were like, we still want to work next to each other. So we ended up renting office space next to each other. And that's kind of just grown from there. Other friends just kept joining on. Now we're up to like 5 offices.
5 offices. I think maybe like 11 or 12 studios.
We pack them in.
They're mostly sole members or very, very small studios. We're indie devs, right? But yeah, and so I guess a few years later, I met Sam, who you guys will meet in a little bit, or the audience will meet. You guys have met Sam. And yeah, it brought me in, and that was maybe a year ago. I love the fact that, I could work around all these super talented people. And yeah, we just keep bringing people in and trying to give back to community. The games forum community eventually became Playcrafting, which is a really great community building and education company, I guess, or organization or whatever for game devs and gamers in New York City. And that brought me sort of into meeting Sam, and then eventually getting into the office space, meeting all these guys and really enjoying it and being like, yeah, I want to be a part of this. And I think it was really kind of shortly after that we made it unofficially official, and we're like, let's do a thing. Let's call it Gumbo. Let's make a website. Yeah. Let's make a logo. And then it just went crazy. And like everybody just sort of puts in a little bit. There's no real structure to it, but we're all passionate about what we're doing, and we're all passionate about the community that we have and growing it and making it better and helping each other out.
Nice.
So basically, we got a little chat going on via email earlier on, and I remember a specific thing where, Valentina, you were mentioning to me that you used to work alone by yourself, coffee shops and everything. Yeah. How's the dynamic influencing you, like joining Jumbo and then working with 5 offices now, everybody all together? It's
been pretty amazing so far. I mean, I just joined Gumbo about like less than 2 months ago. And working by yourself is so hard because you have to figure out how to do everything. Like making a game has like 20 different components to it, and you don't know what you're doing for any of them really. It's like, and you have to learn all of this, and you can't just Google it and be like, hey Google, tell me how to do like marketing for my game, right? It doesn't exist. But meeting these guys has been like super amazing because you share all your communal or your collective knowledge essentially. It's been incredibly helpful. And everybody's been amazing. So yeah.
I think part of the, when it comes to any indie scene, the community is probably the strongest thing within the developers and the creators. So finding yourselves in such, like in New York, how is the indie scene in New York? Because I mean, New York represents so much more. Like we don't hear much about when it comes to video games straight out of New York.
Right.
And how is the scene? Like, is there a lot of games going on? You guys know about other collectives or?
Yeah, there's a couple other sort of collectives. I feel like New York game scene tends to lean more towards the art side. So there's not that many AAAs in New York, but there are a lot of like individual creators like us. There's like a collective called Baby Castles, which does like weird arcade cabinets and cool physical games. And
nice.
Then we have...
That's perfect for your game, an arcade cabinet.
I'm actually getting an arcade cabinet.
Really?
Going to be built in January.
Oh, that's good. If you like arcades, there we got Arcade MTL there. We play that game at our place there.
Nice.
Yeah, I played. It's pretty fun there.
Thanks.
But yeah, so you got the arcade cabinets, guys. You got the
there's baby castles. I guess DB Death by Audio. The Sheep's Meow, I guess, is kind of, or are they? Yeah.
More like a Jersey.
Yeah. But like, yeah.
Oh, that's Jersey, guys.
Close enough.
No, they're all right. They're all right.
It's okay, we have a Jersey too. It's called Laval. Called Laval.
That's
it's the
actually
same
where
thing.
I'm from. So it's
good to know. You're the Jersey guy. Everything makes sense. No.
And that'll be all for today.
Yeah.
So you got the Jersey guy. You got the Jersey crew. You got the.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good amount. There's a good amount of. There's a lot of indies. There's a lot of indie games. There's a lot of collectives. Or like groups or people trying to do the same thing, but I feel we've been even within the collectives, like everybody's kind of been apart, like sort of together, but not really. And I feel recently there's been more of a move from all the different groups to try to come together, like collectives becoming closer of a community, right? Even though we're sort of separate entities or groups, still like bringing the same idea, right? Like the collectiveness in the greater sense too. So playcrafting, I think, has been really big in helping that happen. But I think obviously all of us individually sort of deciding that we really want to put New York on the map as a place that is talked about as, where indie games and games come from, you don't really hear it, right? You hear it's the center of the world for all these other things or whatever, but nobody ever, you say, oh, New York games, like, well, why aren't you on the West Coast, or why don't you go to Montreal, whatever, right? We want to be like, no, screw Montreal. No, I'm kidding.
So you went there. I didn't go there.
I did. I mean, we talked about it. I'm setting you up.
But it's also super weird for us because coming from Montreal, hearing that people outside of Montreal refer to us as a video game city, like some sort of mecca for video games, it's also reassuring for us because all the things we know are Montreal right now. But speaking of New York, how do you guys cope with working in one of the, how could I say this, one of the most expensive cities ever? I mean, rent must be crazy over there and...
Badly?
Yeah. Okay. I feel sorry for going there.
It's because what happens is you eventually move to Jersey.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one thing. You live like a little further away from the city, so further into Brooklyn, where it's a little cheaper.
Or you find consulting jobs to basically pay for your rent, and so you have to balance your time much better because you're almost never spending. At least I think most of us are having some kind of part-time consulting gigs to pay rent essentially. So
yeah, because that's what you were telling us earlier. That your game is basically done like on part-time, free time basis.
Exactly, and it takes much longer to build anything when you're doing that because you have limited attention span and time. But that's what you got for living in New York. But the plus side of living in New York is you have a lot more opportunity to network and meet people. It's much easier to even get those consulting gigs. So it's not all bad.
Yeah, no, I really hope you guys help putting New York finally on the map. That's the first thing.
Finally, right?
People hear about us,
Yeah, New York. New York.
Who's ever
funny
heard?
thing, I find that there's a funny parallel where you're like, we want to put New York on the map for game creation. But New York has been the backdrop of so many games already.
Yeah.
Like New York's culture itself has influenced so many games in so many ways. So I feel it's kind of like...
you just made me realize I've been in New York far more greater times in video games than in real life.
That's actually
For
true.
obviously wrong reasons, but I've been there.
Hey, man, it's a true crime New York, man.
So are you saying that maybe it balances out? Like we don't get to put it on the map as a game making city because it already is in every game?
No.
What he's saying is that you guys deserve to make it on the map.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, there's so much of the backdrop. It's been... Like,
you guys are all right here.
Who hasn't played Punch Out? Like one of the most iconic scenes in video games is the training montage with just Manhattan.
Yeah,
and it's just insane. And like I think that's one of the first times I didn't even know it was New York when I saw that. Like it's just a.
And when you
so
got there and you saw it in person, you remembered Punch Out.
The first thing I did is I put a hoodie and I started running, looking for a dude on the bike to chase me there.
So I don't know how you guys felt about getting maybe your colleagues on the stage also, getting them to pitch in, or
yeah,
we're gonna do a swap maybe.
Are we doing swaps? Are we?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're doing swaps. Let's do swaps.
All right.
Parce que le collectif, c'est quand même sont 5 ici à représenter. Ils se sont présentés les 3. Puis là, ben on voulait y aller. Puis en plus, le gars il est en train de live blogger toute son expérience. En plus, c'est mental. Avec son micro, là, en ce moment, il est en train de pointer le micro pendant que les micros sont en train de se faire attacher. Fait qu'on documente tout le mic up situation.
Toi, t'es tombé en narrative assez.
Ah oui. Le support, il est là. Le support, il est là présentement en train de mettre des micros. But I think one of you 3 could stay, though, eh? If you guys want.
Like, there's one of you that could stick around, or we could switch everybody. They're pointing at you. I think you're the designated talker today. I like that, how that moment turned around. Like somebody could stay, everybody stared at you.
Fait qu'on a juste d'attendre, on va mettre les micros, puis on devrait avoir les 2 autres qui arrivent.
Welcome on stage. Thank you for being with us. So I'm guessing we should probably start the same way we started with your colleagues. So probably just explain to us who you are, what you're doing, what's your favorite color.
What game did you bring to Montreal and stuff like that there?
I guess I'll go first. So my name is Arthur Danskin, and I made the game called...
Are we hearing him? You want to use the mic?
Sure. Okay, cool. So my name is Arthur Danskin, and my game is called Reassembly. It's a spaceship building game.
Oh, he likes those.
So it came out actually like almost 3 years ago, but I've been kind of working on it for a long time and adding
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of mods, and I've been working on adding features for modders. And
So it's been out for 3 years, or you're going the early access route, or?
I mean, it's kind of been like an early access the whole time.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, early access. What used to be alpha.
It used to be alpha. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's been great because I have always had like a very like community-oriented focus. So I've been just like having people play the game and then talking to them a lot online and then improving the game. And that's been so actually like to tie that into Gumbo. I just joined Gumbo like 2 months ago, and it's been an amazing change for me because I was previously just working by myself
Out of cafes, and I would just go to a cafe every day, like a different one, so that the baristas wouldn't catch on and think I was like homeless. And
So there's multiple cafes in New York. He's like, the real question is aggressive baristas.
yes, we have several cafes.
But yeah, so you would go from cafe to
I
cafe.
would go from cafe to cafe, and I'd be like talking to people online and stuff, but I didn't have people to like talk to every day, the same people and like coworkers and like people to eat lunch with and like so I was kind of sustained by that online community, but moving into like an actual office with people has been really nice. And
Nice. And I don't know if his mic's working or.
Hello? Is that working?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't even need that thing. So I'm Sam. I'm SwoHydra Games, and I made this game called Zarvat. I'm wearing the shirt so you can see the game.
Actually, I saw that is a pleasant game to look at people playing there. Not saying that all the other Gumbo games aren't there, but yours.
Discriminating again.
Anyways, go on. Talk about Zarbat.
Thanks. So Arthur shipped 3 years ago, but I shipped 3 weeks ago.
There you go.
So we're like aligned. I shipped on the Nintendo Switch. It's been really cool. It's my first like full-length title, so I'm very excited to have it out there. It's like an arcade shooter game about these cubes that have a lot of emotions, and they go through this like story mode trying to put together the perfect birthday present to cheer up their best friend. Or you can play with your friends in the local multiplayer mode and just like duke it out and like lasers and spikes and rubber ducks and stuff.
Yeah, it's good there. You actually have like a big launch there if you launch it on the Switch and stuff like that, right? So.
Yeah.
That's
as
good.
big as I could try to make it.
I think it's pretty big. They're good being able to throw something on a Nintendo platform there. It's always a pleasure, I think, in a way there. Have you been with the Collective for 2 months also, or just wondering?
I've been with it for a little longer. So I met Jonah and Roman, who's not here, but we were sort of the three amigos who kind of like not founded Gumbo, but we would hang out a lot. And then we met at like a game jam in New York, and then we just sort of became friends. And then eventually, like after years, we started making Gumbo, and then more people joined, and it was really cool.
That's nice. I'm curious, the initiative to bring Gumbo here to Mega. How did that come about? How did you guys say, you know what, we're going, that's going to be a place we're going to go to? Were you guys invited?
That was your idea, right, Sam?
I mean, in Gumbo, it was my idea
Okay.
to bring Gumbo there, but it was these guys I met at PAX West. They're actually great Montreal guys. The King of the Hat, they're making the game King of the Hat. Yeah, it's like right over there.
Yeah.
It's like super awesome. And this guy, Ben, he's so cool. And he was like, oh, dude, you should come to Mega. I'm like, oh, okay. And then
And then next thing you know, you're here.
yeah.
I just want to say also that like whenever I go to like game events like at PAX or at like Steam Dev Days or GDC or something, I always meet a lot of cool people from Montreal, and so I thought it was like a great idea to come because there's so many great game developers here.
Yeah, we got a few nice indie studios here that have been making a mark at PAX there, which is pretty interesting there. We're very, as Montrealers, I mean, seeing Montreal being the gaming city that it's become because of great help by the government for years, I feel that we're starting to see a lot of the, how can I say, like it's, how can I say this? Jean-Luc, je suis en train de bloquer my English is blocked. We're seeing the crumbs from the big companies. No, but we're seeing all the offshoots from the big companies, people that have been working or that got in with the big players, and then they just meet each other. And then there's so many. We're just seeing so many indie studios pop up right now, all because some people are just tired of I don't know, working on ears on the latest Assassin's Creed. You know, like they want to do their own thing.
No offense to Assassin's Creed.
I love Assassin's Creed. We love
Watch
Ubisoft. But I mean, these
Ubisoft is
are the
watching.
types of things that we're starting to see. So I'm guessing that our team should be making marketplaces like PAX and stuff like that.
Right.
Sorry.
I think it's really interesting you say that because in Montreal, I feel like it sort of filters down from the AAA to the indies.
That's exactly what I'm trying. Yeah, it's a better way of saying it there, but yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying.
Shorter
to
way also.
A shorter way, yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting because in places like New York, there is no AAA scene. So it sort of goes the other way from filtering down. Because when I started, I didn't work at a AAA studio or anything. I was just like making games in my bedroom.
Are there any AAA? Doesn't Rockstar have an office?
Rockstar has offices there. I guess Avalanche.
Yes, Avalanche is the only
has
one that-
offices
Which
there.
Avalanche though? The Disney one or the?
The Just Cause.
Oh, the Just Cause Avalanche.
Yeah, Just Cause.
Yeah, because there's two Avalanches. I never.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Have you not played Cars 3?
No,
Saying.
sorry.
I apologize in advance for. But we had an interesting talk also. Arthur, you brought up an interesting question via email when we got the ball rolling earlier. You asked me, what do people in the room want to hear about? They want to hear about personal stories. They want to hear about collective stories. They want to hear about the tools we're making or something. So what's been the influence on this working by yourself and Gumbo? I mean, obviously now you used to be by yourself for 3 years building your own game, and then you get to share these emotions with people. You get to share these trials and tribulations. So what's been the influence of Gumbo on that one?
Yeah, it's been really helpful. So I'm in this weird phase right now where I'm trying to make like a second indie game. And if you look around, you'll find that there are like way less people who've made 2 successful indie games than there are people who've made 1 successful indie game. So I've been
Like music.
Yeah, like anything, right? Like you have 1 hit and then you just like kind of like, ah, shit. Like, so I've been struggling with this for a number of years, and I've noticed like after I joined Gumbo, it's hard because one of the main tendencies you have after you make one game and when you're working on your second game is that you want to make it like better than your first game. But the problem is you're not like actually better at anything than you were when you made the first game. You're like you're the same. You're the same person. You have approximately the same amount of skills, and you can work about the same amount of speed. But you still want the game to be better. So there's a tendency to like overscope and then kind of not finish anything. So I spent like a year doing that, and then after I joined Gumbo, I'm like watching all these other people, and they're like finishing their games. And they're making like smaller games than the game I wanted to make, but they're actually finishing them, and they were still really cool games. And I'm like, wow, that seems great. I want to finish a game too. And
Basically, a lot of pressure from your own self regarding the second game that you're gonna.
Yeah, but I think like the community really helps balance that internal pressure out, and it helps you like deal with your emotional needs as a human while you make the game, which is really a challenge because the game is so personal and you're so like tied up in it in your head, and it's such a like big part of your life, and it's really like when you talk to people who are not game developers about it, they don't really understand what you're doing. Even if they like have really exciting hard careers, they just don't understand. They just go home at the end of the day and relax, and they just don't, So it's really great to have people that understand.
I feel like when you're creating something, especially with a game, there is a huge emotional investment going on. There's been, I don't want to go too big on the topic there, but with Rockstar, they've been talking about these 100-hour work weeks and this culture of succeeding and of just laying out the most amazing product. And a lot of people would think, there's a lot of hate to happen on that. But I know for a fact, knowing a lot of people that work in games, that people are willing to put these hours because they want to see the final product. So like you're saying, you are willing just go all in, and you need to have somebody every now and then saying, relax, just step back a bit, see what's going on, and it's nice to have people around you to help you on that there, instead of tunneling yourself with your forum comments about your shipbuilding game and freaking out about the game you're trying to make. Am I calling it a bit correctly there?
No, that's absolutely the situation. And also just like having people like kind of bring you down to earth, like not just like you need to relax, but also like you need to make features in the game that other people care about, as opposed to just like going off in left field building some kind of like complicated technology that doesn't work. That doesn't matter. Yeah, but yeah. That's absolutely
That's good.
And on your end, guys, how is like the same aspect been affecting you on your games or on your individual companies? Because that's also one thing that I noticed is that there's Gumbo, but there's also like all these individual companies that you guys are managing or running or pretty much doing everything by yourselves. So what's been the influence of Gumbo on your specific project?
I mean, I personally think that Valentina put it really well before, where she talked about how we all have our strengths and you know, weaknesses, and we all have knowledge that, you know, for whatever reason we've acquired throughout our careers. The you know, Arthur has a different experience than Sam or I do, or you know, any of us, and so in coming together, we can all share the benefits of those experiences. And so I had never made a mobile game, for example, but one of the other studios at Gumbo, Computer Lunch, they make great mobile games. So having Andrew and Kati there to be like, hey, so how do I do this thing? And how do I do that thing? And them being able to say, well, I've done it before. Here is how you do it, or here's how I've done it, or whatever, really is very, very helpful. And I think in those ways, Valentina mentioned about like marketing. How do you market your game? Some of us have done that before. Some of us have gone through the experience of shipping a game before. Some of haven't. You know, like I hadn't before. I had no idea how this felt, but I had people to be like, hey, by the way, this might be how it feels. We're here for you. So I think that is that's the benefit of having all the different studios. We're all doing our own kind of thing, but we're all also helping each other do our own thing better.
Yeah. So like, I mean, we're all naturally like kind of individualistic people who are for some reason making video games mostly by ourselves, which is kind of like a weird, super individualistic thing to do. So it's hard. It's really nice to find a balance between that and the collective, right? It's like not working at a company, but not completely doing your own thing.
So it's kind of an hybrid function where you get to work for 2 hours, then look up, and then you realize there's other people around you doing the exact same thing, but different projects also.
I got a question. The Gumbo, you guys, it's an office? You guys have like a building that you guys are renting out now or something like that or an office that you guys are renting out, and people's, like, is everybody available to play? They chip in? It sounds like a bit of an incubator, but I don't think it is, or...
It's a co-working space. So we all rent a couple of offices, and depending on like how much space you want, we just rent directly from the office space. So there's no like Gumbo overhead or membership fee or anything. It's like to join Gumbo, you just join this building.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
And how do you guys go about, let's say, because people approach you for joining Gumbo, but how do you recruit, or how do people show up? I mean, I've seen the website or anything. Obviously, you guys do the networking, but what's the process of joining?
It's very organic, really. I would say Andrew is probably our best recruiter, if anything. Recruiter. It really isn't recruiting. It's more, you know, we try to have people come by and talk to us, and we spend some time with them, and eventually somebody goes, hey, this is really cool what you guys are doing here. Right. Can I come by? And we're like, yeah, sure. There's no requirement, get your office and like, yeah, let's grow this thing.
It's kind of like your college friends sleeping on your couch, and 2 years after you realize you need to get a bigger place. Kind of. It's quite casual, but I really enjoy that kind of organic way that it keeps growing. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think one of the nice things about our physical situation is that it's like we have just like a corner of a much larger co-working space. So like we can easily organically expand without any like thinking about trying to find a new office or anything like that. Someone just rents one more desk and just expand our little corner of the office. Yeah.
I got maybe a quick question also. How do you guys prepare for an event like Mega? I mean, you need to show up. You need to set up a booth. People are playing your games. Some people are going to be looking at you really shyly and afraid to picking up the controller. So what's the preparation for attending Mega?
I think we've all personally, like amongst all of us, done events by ourselves. And this Gumbo booth is the first iteration of us kind of coming together and doing one booth. Usually we all already like go to events together, like MagFest or PAX, and then we all just get our own separate booths, and then we sort of know how it goes. But because now we all sort of know the process, we can kind of pull together and be like, okay, well, we know how each other's games works, we can direct traffic, we kind of set it up in a great way to make everyone bigger, you know, and everyone more intense and make all the games more enjoyable as well.
I did PAX. I went to PAX West 1 year by myself, and it was like really super stressful because I was like, I just had this one booth and I was trying to show people how to play the game, and like I was just like kind of there by myself, and I was like getting hungrier gradually, and I didn't have anyone to like, you know, like it's amazing to have like people that can reset your game a little bit, and like, you know, we can like, you know, buy sandwiches for each other a little bit and stuff.
Or walk the floor a bit too, and working while people are...
And Sam's been cutting these amazing videos for us.
I also want to...
Yeah, we saw him going. It's pretty awesome.
I also want to mention that Sam, when we started talking about, oh, how are we going to set up the booth and, you know, all the different games so that we get them to show or whatever. And Sam and I were talking like, we got to get everybody together and like have a night of like planning this thing out. And Sam goes, yeah, we'll just build a Unity scene in 3D so we can visualize it. And I was like, you're crazy. Why would you do that? And he's like, no, I'm serious. And we did it. He builds this Unity scene, and we like plotted everything out and like flew through, created like multiple iterations.
So Sam's that guy.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. But in like seconds, he's that guy too, you know? Like, it was awesome. Really, really
also
cool.
The aspect where you guys are mentioning that you've been to conventions by yourself. So it's mostly like, from an outside perspective, obviously, the first time you're attending it, it's more of a trials and error thing. You were mentioning like, I'm going to get hungry at one point, but I'm by myself now, and I've got to attend to all these people. So you get to share these experiences together. Any memorable experiences that you remember, guys, from past shows or stuff, or a quick tip that you want to share with the world of game developers for upcoming events? Really thoughtful question.
Well, he said he got hungry.
Bring food, and a lot of water is a big thing actually. Like for some reason, when you're talking to people a lot, you get super thirsty. And I guess at least for us game developers, we usually don't talk to people much. So like it wasn't something that occurred to me, but like at PAX, like I went through 6 like 20-ounce water bottles in like one day. That was
so hydrate.
Yeah, hydrate.
Yep.
Eat, hydrate.
Yeah.
Comfortable shoes.
Comfortable shoes.
Don't like change your game the night before the expo.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
I love doing that though.
Yeah, don't do as we do or as I do.
Yeah.
Don't ship a game prior to a next. No.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing that I learned for boothing was like the emotional aspect, because especially things like PAX. I remember the first time I was at PAX, they gave me a smaller booth than I thought I would have. And I had all this like gear that I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna set up, it's gonna look so cool. But I had such a small space and I couldn't make it look as cool as I thought it would be. And I was next to like Tiny Build, next to like EA, and I was just like, oh, I have this tiny corner, this one TV, and then there's like Assassin's Creed next to me. You know what I mean? And everyone just walks past my booth and plays Assassin's Creed. And I think for me personally, the emotional aspect of showing games is pretty difficult because it's something you put so much time into. And I'm just like, oh, you have to grow a thick skin.
Conventions like these, well, this one is more, I'd say, indie focused, but in conventions like PAX, which have gotten a lot bigger than what they intended at the beginning, I find, and there's a lot of little players that are sometimes completely drowned by the big space being taken by the bigger players. What do you guys think about conventions for indie games becoming a bit more common? I find that, like, for example, you go to a Comic-Con and you'll have like Artist Alley, and now I feel like we're getting to the point where we can actually have, like, we actually have an indie alley now at our Comic-Cons. I probably have the same thing in New York too, but I find it's cool that we actually have like artisans of gamings now that are going there. What do you guys think about like the emergence of indie as it's become like? You guys happy about this? I guess so. Like,
It's super dope.
Bummed out about it.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I'm an older guy, but I just remember making a game went from, it was one dude in the basement in the 70s that would crunch it out in 40 hours to this big machine where there's these big teams that are building them. And now I feel like in the past 20 years, we're going back to that guy that's crunching the numbers in his basement. But man, with so much more openness, you guys, like the idea that how many people worked on Sarvat?
Well, I do the art, code, and design, and then I have 3 different composers.
So the idea that such a small team releases on such a big audience, I think, is insane. Now, you guys excited about like continuing this run there, or hoping that it's not a one-hit wonder?
Definitely.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's great. Like, I spend a lot of time talking to people on Discord about my game, and it's like really fun to like meet people in person. And like you can, you know, it's like, I mean, it's like really like one of the great things about making indie games is that you spend all this time making this weird thing that you personally really like, and then you're showing it to people, and then you really want, when they like it, it's kind of like a validation of yourself as a human being. It's like this thing that I care about that's kind of weird. Other people like it, and so it's really nice to talk to people about it in person, and you can kind of see the emotion in their eyes a little bit, which is like nicer than seeing the smiley faces on Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are we doing on time?
We got 5 about there.
5 about? Okay.
I think like this expo has been really fun for me because it's like it's not as crazy as PAX. Like my game is kind of like slow, and it's like kind of game where it's like designed to be played for like 10 hours. So like it's kind of hard to play it for like 5 minutes. It's been really great to have it not like at PAX it's just like super crowded, and here it's like there's enough space and stuff that people can actually relax a little bit.
So you could take the time to explain it to people and then get them.
Yeah. I can talk to people more, and people can enjoy the game without being too pressured and stuff. It's great. It's nice.
The first time you guys come to Montreal?
Not first time for me, but first time that I'm able to really kind of enjoy it. I was just here for like one freezing night years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I know, weird.
And how about you guys? First time or?
First time for me.
Yeah, I went on a school field trip when I was in middle school, and I saw some of my sculptures and stuff, but I don't remember. I think we ate some poutine, but I don't remember that much.
So, Montreal indie question. You guys have any? Comment est-ce qu'on dit un coup de cœur en anglais? Là? J'essaie de penser à ça.
You're the English speaker.
I know I'm the English speaker, but I'm just saying. So let's say you guys have an indie studio crush from Montreal. Who would be? Do you guys have any like top studios that you already talked about the Hat Studios there?
I like Kit Fox games.
The what?
Kit Fox.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're really cool.
I'm not familiar enough with the scene to be able to.
Just say Red Barrel and you're good.
I probably have a crush, but don't know that they're from Montreal.
Yeah.
So Red Barrel.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm guessing this is probably the time of the interview where we start plugging our stuff, to not use
Sounds
the other
good.
word. So
Cool.
if ever guys or gals or non-binary people want to join you guys, how would we go about... Yeah, I really went there. Sorry. I stumbled upon my way. But how do we reach the Gumbo Collective?
So we have a site
Yep.
at gumbo.nyc. We have the .nyc domain because we're actually from New York. You can't get it.
No, we
guys are
cannot
proud.
get it. No, we got the .ca though and the .qc.
That's you really went there.
Well, it's true. I just stayed on it.
They're proud, man. Come on. Okay, so gumbo.nyc.
Yep.
And how about your individual projects? So how do we get a hold of you? You were mentioning Discord or...
Yeah, well, for me anyway, I have a website. It's anisopteragames.com. Or you can just type reassembly into Google and you'll find it.
Perfect.
And my game is on Steam. And it's called Reassembly.
So Reassembly on Steam. Sam?
My game is Zarvat. You can go to zarvat.com.
Not .nyc this time?
Not the NYC, no.
Perfect. And last but not least...
So orgpunk.com would be the website for the company, and you can find the game on the iOS store right now. If you just look for Into the Dark Naricon, or if you search the strategy category, you should be able to find it.
And there was
And then there's,
Valentina with...
Yeah, Valentina, what's your website? Wirescribe?
guardiansofloa.com
guardiansofloa.com
and
then
whalefoodgames.com or kungfukickball.
kungfukickball.com.
And for the people attending Mega also, they're all on the show floor. You could try out their games. They're amazing. Go give them a shout. And for ourselves, we're not going to go there. I mean, no.
The Geek Collectif, the podcast.
Exactly. Geekcollectif.com for the Geek
We got a .com too.
Yeah, we got a
nice.
We didn't go with the .ca for that one, though. Thank you for being with us, guys.
When's the .mtl coming?
Oh, man.
We're waiting for it there.
We should start that stuff.
We're getting it with the pink Metro line.
Give the guys from Gumbo Collective a big round of applause. Thank you for attending the panel. It's been a pleasure.
Ouais, merci.
Show floor.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for having us.
Oh, thank you guys, man.
Do I just drop it on the floor or?
You're like,